Millions of people die of starvation, while grains rot in storage silos to create artificially high prices for maximum profit. So it's not true to say that there is a food crisis. Rather, there is a crisis in distribution and utilization of the world's resources. The Progressive Utilization Theory, or PROUT, has been created to address these gross imbalances, as well as many other local and global problems. The great Indian mystic and philosopher P.R. Sarkar realized that spiritual teachings and social work were not enough to remove the root cause of much of today's suffering and injustice. He understood that much of this suffering was caused by a faulty socio-economic system. So in 1959, he introduced a new socio-economic theory called PROUT, as he said, for the good and happiness of all. This all-inclusive social theory has a uniquely spiritual base, unlike past and present systems such as capitalism and communism, which are materially based and benefit only one section of society. PROUT is not just for the wealthy and privileged, or just for the workers. It's for everyone, including animals, plants, and the environment. Since the introduction of PROUT, it has received praise from many of today's progressive thinkers. This video will explain some of the key economic principles of PROUT. You'll learn why more and more progressive-minded thinkers around the world are studying PROUT for practical and compassionate solutions to present-day economic and social problems. In this video, you'll be introduced to 7 key economic principles of PROUT. Guaranteed minimum requirements of life, increased purchasing capacity, decentralized planning, and balanced economy. The 3-tier economic system: cooperatives, self-sufficient economic areas, economic democracy, and non-material emphasis. PROUT's economic system guarantees the minimum requirements of life to everyone. In most situations, this includes food, clothing, accommodation, medical care, transport, and education. This guarantee can be achieved by ensuring full employment so that everyone has at least a minimum purchasing capacity, as well as ensuring availability and appropriate pricing of basic necessities. This means a minimum income will be part of the society's constitution.
If you ask anyone in the world today if it was morally justified that someone should die from hunger or cold or whatever, anyone would say no, no matter whether it was a head of a corporation or any person in a small town. But the strange fact of the matter is that we actually live in a world where innumerable people are dying from hunger and from cold and from lack of the basic necessities of life. And capitalism simply has not been able ever to provide everybody with the basic essentials of life, and that system has to change. And one of the first explicit statements of PROUT is that PROUT will guarantee everyone the minimum essentials of life.
Once the minimum requirements have been met, any surplus wealth will be distributed amongst those who have special needs or special talents. Those with special needs include disabled people and nursing mothers. Meritorious people with special skills or greater responsibility can receive bonuses and pay, or preferably will be offered items which enable them to deliver greater service back to the community. This will encourage personal achievements that also benefit society. For example, if the minimum necessity for transport is a car, some doctors who need to cover a lot of distance quickly may get a helicopter. And just as there is a minimum wage to ensure the minimum requirements can be earned, there must also be a maximum wage to ensure the meritorious are not overpaid.
The amount of minimum necessities should always be increasing so that the general standard of the people continues to increase. But of course this will also depend from community to community. For example, in some countries now refrigerators are considered a necessity. But in other places, a refrigerator is not a necessity, and only special people who need it, hospitals or doctors, may have one. Similarly, in first world countries now, computers are becoming a necessity, whereas in other less developed places, computers are still considered a luxury or at least semi-essential.
The relationship between the minimum and maximum wage may be set at a given rate. For example, if the minimum wage is $10 an hour, it may be appropriate to say that the maximum wage would not exceed $100 an hour, or 10 times that amount. This will help eliminate extremes in poverty and wealth. There are already examples of this tiered wage system in the world today.
A firm policy, though, that the credit union abides by is that the difference in pay between the highest and lowest paid members will be no greater than 3 times.
In summary, society's resources must first be directed towards ensuring that everyone gets the minimum necessities of life. The remaining wealth is then directed towards semi-essential goods, and then finally towards non-essential or luxury items. All this is the practical expression of one of PROUT's fundamental principles. There should be maximum utilization and rational distribution of society's resources.
Does PROUT exist anywhere in the world? It does exist in the biggest economic unit of the world, the family. In a family, you first use your resources for providing essentials like rent, food, clothing, etc. Only if there's money left over would it go to non-essentials or individual needs like piano lessons or to buy a football uniform. Never at the expense of other family members' basic needs. But in capitalism this does happen. A few are allowed to get very rich while others die of hunger. If you want to understand PROUT, then understand this concept of the family. PROUT is the application of this family spirit to society and economics.
To ensure that all people continue to receive the minimum necessities of life and to provide dynamism in the economy, PROUT advocates a gradual and continual increase in purchasing capacity. To achieve this, there must be a continual increase in production through research and development and the appropriate use of progressive scientific ideas.
Now, what's unique about his vision is that it wasn't anti-technology. So you have many movements talking about the future that technology has gone so far, let's avoid technology. Sarkar was very clear that in fact you needed a vision of the future that had appropriate technology, that used technology, understanding that we had to have technology for the public good. He would use IT, he would use genetics, but start to see who are they benefiting, etc. So this wasn't a Luddite vision.
PROUT fully supports the use of science and technology, but this should never be at the detriment of the environment. According to PROUT, plants and animals also have their right to existence. Science should be used to ensure a better environment and a better quality of life for all. Especially, science and technology should never be used just to create wealth for a few or for mass destruction, such as in warfare.
It should be noted that under capitalism, less work due to the advances of technology means less pay, if not retrenchment. However, under PROUT, it means less work for the same amount of pay. This fosters a much richer, happier, and more meaningful society. This increase in spare time creates opportunities for more rewarding pursuits that have little or no drain on material resources, like sport, art, adventure, science, religion, philosophy, altruism, and spirituality. This fosters a much richer society.
People naturally want an increasing standard of living. It's part of human psychology. Nobody likes to be stagnant, nobody likes to be in the same situation for year after year. So it is natural that people want in some way to improve their circumstances. And this psychological need that humans have has to be recognized in an economic system and again has to be planned for. So PROUT would plan for increasing the purchasing capacity of people.
In many developed countries today, we have seen the price of electrical goods actually drop while the quality has risen. Sound systems, televisions and computers are a few examples. PROUT would apply this principle of increased production and quality to all essential goods first, thereby ensuring everyone has access to the minimum necessities of life.
The fundamental contradiction of capitalism is that its driving force is greed and self-interest. So employees get less and less purchasing capacity and are replaced by machines to maximize the capital profits. But this reduces the capacity of people to buy their goods and eventually results in the collapse of the economy, which is, in other words, called a depression. PROUT, on the other hand, removes the possibility of depression by ensuring everyone has increased purchasing capacity, this keeps the economy healthy and vibrant.
Economic planning under PROUT is decentralized. This means the decisions for the local economy are made locally and not by bureaucrats or politicians who don't have economic, cultural or sentimental ties in the area. The definition of a local person is someone who has merged their economic interests with the area. When local people are empowered to make the economic decisions for their own area, the outcomes will enhance their own economy and society. They will also have a greater concern for the environment if they're living in the area themselves and have to live with positive or negative environmental impacts.
The principle of economic decentralization. This is important because it ensures that economic power, decision-making, control over resources, and control over the wealth that is generated through economic activity stay in the hands of local people, in the hands of local and regional bodies. Otherwise, if decentralization is not followed, there is a tendency for wealth to be concentrated into the hands of very few people sitting at the top of the economy, as we see today through multinational corporations and transnational financial institutions. Power is sucked out of local communities, wealth is taken out of the hands of local people, and decisions are made about economic resources, about economic activities by people far away from the needs of local people.
Today, because of the internet, many people are able to work from home rather than in congested cities. Further advances in this type of science and technology will greatly aid decentralized planning and living. Inherent in decentralized planning is the concept of a balanced economy. Ideally, approximately 25% of the workforce would be engaged in agriculture, with 30% in agriculture-related industries. A further 25% would be in non-agricultural industries, with 20% in commercial activity and services.
PROUT believe the economy should be balanced. If one sector is too predominant, this is unhealthy. For example, some first world countries exploit other third world countries to meet their lack of agricultural or industrial goods.
PROUT divides the industrial system into three categories: privately owned small businesses, medium to large-scale businesses which are run by cooperatives, and very large industries which are concerned with key functions of the economy and are owned and run by the most local government possible. Examples of small-scale industries are businesses employing only a handful of people, such as family businesses or cottage industries. Often they are concerned with luxury goods and services such as jewelry shops, restaurants, small IT businesses, hairdressers and the like. If the business grows beyond a certain number of employees, predetermined by the community, then it will either stop growing or turn itself into a cooperative. This is to prevent monopolization or exploitation by a dominant business. Cooperatives only exist to serve a need for the local community or area. The cooperative would elect its own management committee, with the previous owner likely to be a part of the committee. Wages are paid to workers according to the work they do, using the system of minimum and maximum wage scales, with sufficient funds reserved for capitalization, development, etc.
One thing is quite clear in everything that Sarkar has written, and that is that the cooperative method of management and of owning wealth is the norm, and one departs from the cooperative system of enterprise only for good reasons. Those good reasons might be that there are some types of enterprise, some types of production which are so small that it's not sensible to organise them cooperatively.
So far as possible, trade, commerce, agriculture and industry should be organised through cooperative enterprises. Only those enterprises which are difficult to manage on a cooperative basis because they're too small or too small and or too small and or too